Hello, I'm Oykelichanx, and I created an RPGMaker clone. Really good idea, I know. Let me just get to it. So, I was using RPGMaker and I thought, man, there's a lot in this engine that could be improved. So I went and I made myself an entire editor based on RPGMaker. Currently it's using all of the icons up here. But this is using love. A lot of, here, let me actually. A lot of the, not actually makes more sense like this. A lot of the stuff that this is supposed to do is not added in yet. It's going to be added in, but it hasn't been yet, because even though I've been working on this for like a month, the issue with engines, especially editors like this, is that you work on them for like a year and then they're finally usable because all of the back-end stuff has to be done first. But yeah, anyways. So this, right now we're in the view for the map. This is the map view where you can place tiles and whatnot. And all of the tiles auto-tile. I thought that the auto-tiling would be a lot more difficult than it actually ended up being. Originally, I thought that the auto-tile would be really annoying, but the moment I got actually into the auto-tile, it was extremely easy, which is good for me. I'm pretty sure it's because I was working on a much more difficult to implement auto-tiler before this, like, I want to say a couple weeks to a month ago. That was also for a video. That made it a lot easier to do this one, which is just the very simple, if you've ever played the original Pokemons, it's the thing they use to tile in their games, which is basically just a very simple tile set thing that allows it so that every tile is cut into 4 pieces, and then those 4 pieces are put together in different ways in order to make the different tilings. If that made sense, I might put a visual up for that. But yeah, yeah. But that is one of the things. Believe it or not, that's actually for the most part most of the stuff. Because in here, you can this is the palette. You can choose different things and you can place them. How the maps actually handle knowing what everything is that they have an index, basically an array of all of the assets that the map uses, so every tile that it uses. Oh, what Tileset asset is being used, and then the second one is which tile is being used. And that index for each map is held. And then when it's going and drawing them, each tile has a piece of data connected to them that tells what the actual tile is supposed to be. The first 4 are the top left, top right, bottom left, and bottom right tilings. There are 5 different tilings for the tiles. And that's how it chooses which ones to place at different corners of each tile. And then it uses, second one is the variant. So every tile can have up to 99 variants. And the variant basically just means it's another form of the same tile that is used. It uses the same asset, but it's a different picture. So in this case, all of the variations are just other colorings of the same thing. So like here, I'm gonna, as you can see here, there's 3 different things here for what tiles they are. It's just basically more green than the one previous to it, but it makes testing easy. So that's the variant, and then the last thing is which indice in the the map's asset array is the current tile. So this basically the palette over here, if the tile doesn't already exist in the map, it will go and it will add it into that index of different assets that are being worked on with this map. It'll add it in, and then now it can be used in the map. It'll display and everything. The reason why I did it that way was because I didn't want the map saves to be really big. They could be massive if I didn't have that index of the different tiles that would be used in the map. Oh yeah, all the GUI, it all scales and is for the most part whatever amount dynamic. Like this down here is the hierarchy. It has so the stuff that it's all displaying down here is a folder outside of the actual editor. So the editor is to be compiled, and then the exe is run with the project as the folder that it's going to be working with. And how I'm going to have that work is that all of the loading stuff for and then this is more technical stuff, you could skip it if you want, but all of the file system calls are not using love file system, because those are all sandboxed into only the exe and the app data directory. So this is using all .io dot stuff, which makes it harder. Like for example, I cannot use fonts. I cannot import fonts. I will be making it so that users who are making things can add in fonts, but it will require a bit of finagling on the engine side of things, so I'm not going to be doing that at the moment. Oh, no, they're not here anymore. I was going to say there's technically a font asset type, but I removed it because of the whole it can't be imported. Anyway, so all of these, you can double click one of these and it will open them in the engine, if the engine has a thing that you can open it with, or it will open it with its default thing in the default thing that opens that on your computer. So for example, with .luas, it'll open it in Notepad++ for me. Images that are not like these are tile sets, so they won't open up in photos, but just regular images will open up in photos. You know, whatever your default thing is, that's what it'll use. Not my default, just whatever your system default is. But all these you can, I can only show the ones that in the editor, because the ones that open outside of the editor don't, you know, the recording software won't actually pick it up. So I can, for example, I can remove tabs on the palette. So I'll remove this one, and then I'll open this one, which is just a color shift to the other one. And I'll open this one, so you can actually open up new tabs, and you can get the tile sets that are in that file. The names of the tabs are currently weird, but I'm gonna be changing that in due time. And then the maps, the .maps, I can open them up, and then it actually opens up the map. And when I save one of these, so for example, Grassy here has this. If I want to add this in the middle of it, it will, when I save it, go to a new map, and then go back to it, it's still there, because it has saved it to that file. Even if I restart the editor, it will still be there, because it saved it to that. The inspector over here currently does pretty much nothing, because working with it is a pain. Because I've made like probably more than a dozen UI systems in the course of my programming life, and they are, oh my goodness. I could just download one, but I don't know if that will work with what I'm trying to do, but for many reasons. So while technically this right here will not allow you to type anything that's not a number, and if you put a period it will actually do that. It won't error if you put more periods. I just broke it. Ignore that. Apparently there's an issue there. Numbers have a really big problem. There's a lot of conditions that go into editing numbers in the text box. But you can edit things, but they don't save to the file that is being inspected. So it's the inspector's pretty much useless except for like viewing what the thing that you're viewing is called, like different information. And it will only show things that are exposed to the editor, which currently is the tile sets, and specifically the tile set ID, name, and tile size. So otherwise it's completely useless. Yeah, and every time you load up currently it just gives you a map filled with random things of 2 different types. At some point I'll make it so that it opens the last edited thing. Outside of that, let me open up my yes. So when you play the like play test the thing, when you hit this, it will actually open up this separate thing in a different view than the mapping view. And this view right here is the game view, which shows the not compiled, but basically it's running a sandboxed version of the stuff over here in the hierarchy, because how the whole thing I've worked it out to work is that you can run the playtest in the engine, and it will still run as if you would run it normally. But once it's compiled, like once you want to compile it and put it into something, it will work just as if it was running in here. So this right here is the like pretend what the window size would actually be. This is what has been set in the .config or the configuration file as to be the size of the window. And anytime that is changed, the size of the window, this in here will be changed. So you could do everything that Love does, except it's sandbox. So it'll be odd to get that to work fully, but especially since, like, as you can see, it's just a blank screen. This was all for testing. Currently, there's no events, there's no entities, there's no events, there's no entities, there's no scripting, there's no graphing, there's nothing like that. Currently all that works is basically just the editor bits, and specifically for mapping. I'm gonna work on the actual event stuff next, and I probably will not be getting on the this issue anytime soon because I hate UI. I've worked on UI so many times that it has become just so annoying to work on. And that's what happens. I've done tiling like a dozen times, but each time it's been something different, so it's still sometimes fun. But with UI, it's always the same exact thing. That's the stuff I've been working on. This is like less than a month's worth of progress. Most of the work has been done within the last like 5-6 days. Before that it was just the UI that worked, but now this works. Like, if you restart the engine, the actual scalings that you did of these will stay how they were beforehand. But yeah, and you can add in more tile sets. It's just that currently you have to go and edit the meta files yourself. Speaking of which, there are meta files which tell different information about things. So for example, all these PNGs are only like this little icon being the tile map. It's only showing that because the meta file says that it is a tile map or a tile set, and the maps are not at all the same. Never mind. But yeah, that's how all that works. The map files work in where the actual file holds that it is a map file. As you can see, it has a dot map. But yeah, currently only the pencil tool works, and it only works when you click. Oh wait, I actually have to select it. It only works when you click. It doesn't work when you drag. Currently you can technically select more than one thing, but it will only place what's in the top left corner of the thing. At some point I'm going to have multiple different kinds of palettes, because you can actually program in different types of palettes, but currently only the tile one works, and the tile one is for tile sets, not multi-tile things like trees and whatnot, or entity or object, which I'm going to delineate between objects, events, and tiles. So while objects don't have any they don't actually do anything, they're just visual, sometimes maybe collision, but they don't actually do anything. While they don't do anything, they show up more like an event would, like an entity would. Instead of being tile-based, they can be just a solid object that appears on a tile or not on a tile at all. I'm going to have something that allows you to snap to grid or not snap to grid. And events will be similar to that in that they will be snapped to the grid or not, depending on the game settings. But they will instead have actual information about them. They can move around and whatnot. Additionally, technically, entities aren't held within a map. They're held within a completely different thing, and they're used all across the game. So you can access information about an entity that's in a different map than is currently open. Additionally, the player entity can be changed so that it's a different one, or whatever. I technically haven't gotten very far on that stuff, but and like as you can see, most of the buttons just don't do anything. These ones do, but most of them just don't do anything. Some of them can switch, but it doesn't change anything, like these ones. The undo and redo, I'm probably not going to get working for a long time. Copy, paste, cut, don't do anything. The save does something. The open does not, but this one does. But technically this does nothing. When I hit confirm, it just exits. At some point it'll add I'll make it so that it can actually create new project files. These also don't do anything. The toolbar up here, not the toolbar, but the toolbar. It does nothing at the moment. I will get it to work at some point, but for the moment it doesn't do anything. Additionally, the UI doesn't have any themes or anything. It's using completely unique colors per thing. I'm going to be making it so that instead there are you can actually create a theme for the UI, because basically this entire thing is built around being modular. So you can add new kinds of palettes that when placed will do certain things. You can add new tile sets, you can add new file types or like asset types. You can create new views. You can create new, inspector views. You can create all sorts of things for the most part. You can create new toolbar icons. For the moment, there's a lot of things. I don't remember everything, but there's definitely a lot. Technically, asset types aren't modular at the moment. They're modular but hard-coded. So adding the modularity to them will be very easy when I want to. It's just they're not currently set up to be. Like there's not a bunch of data files that determine what makes different file types. That said, yeah, that's pretty much it for the moment. I'm going to be, as I said, I'm going to be working on more stuff. I'm going to be working on making it so that the player, when you actually open the game, it will have a player moving around. It will have different things happening. as well as events and entities and blah 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 blah. Because the maps work. They definitely work. It's just that there's nothing to do on the maps, and you can't actually do anything with the maps. So yeah, events are my next thing, and then making it all work in the gameplay thing. After that, there's a lot more to get to, but I'll get to that later. That's it for this video. Sorry for not having a more proper outro, and sorry for the fan playing in the background right now. I want to give a big thanks to my Patreon supporter, Hunter55. You made this possible. And I'm going to be posting some Patreon exclusive content after this. And that's it, yeah. This isn't the last you'll see of me, but for now it is. Goodbye!